Hello everyone, my name is Melinda Petrano and today I am going to be teaching you how to be dividing decimals. As you can see here, I put a picture of a division within decimals, so we are going to learn how to do a number without decimal, dividing by a number with decimals, but we're also going to do a decimal divided by a decimal. So let's get started. So how to divide decimals? Well, the trick to this is to get rid of the decimal point from the number we are dividing. So if we are dividing 0.2 by 30, we want to get rid of the 0.2, that decimal point within the 0.2. How can we do that? I wonder. We can shift the decimal point out of the way by multiplying 10 as many times as we need to. But in order to do that, we need to do the same thing to both numbers in the division. So, an example, 15 divided by 0.2. Let us multiply 0.2 by 10, which shifts the decimal point out of the way and kind of gets rid of it as a whole. So, 0.2 times 10 is equal to 2. But remember, I said that we have to do it to both numbers, not just one. So since we multiplied by 10 to 0.2, we have to do that to the 15 also, which is 15 times 10 is equal to 150. So 15 divided by 0.2 has become 150 divided by 2, and they are both 10 times larger. Let's remember that. So 150 divided by 2 is 75. So we can plug it into our original equation, which is 15 divided by 0.2. It's also equal to 75. Side note, when we are dividing, the number that is on top is called the dividend, and the number we are dividing by is called the divisor. So we can think of it this way. If 0.2 was on this side and 15 was on this side, then 15 would be the divisor and 0.2 would be the dividend. It's the place they're in, not with which number. It doesn't matter if you switch numbers, then wherever it is going to be that. Let's check for your understanding. What is the number we divide by called? So, I'm gonna give you a few minutes to think about this, process this, and see if you guys can answer this and we're paying attention. So, with that being said, we are going to move on to, you are going to choose 3 of these problems. I know there's 6 up here, well, 5. The 6th one got cut off. It's not important. So, you guys are going to choose 3 of these problems to do on your own, by yourself. Take a few minutes. If you have questions during this time, you can ask me. But also, I want you guys to do it individually, because when you are done, we are going to get a partner, go in a group, and we're going to ask people around us what they got for their answer, how they got it, and you're going to explain it to them, and they're going to explain it to you, and we're going to see whose answer is correct. And if you have any questions or are confused, you can always ask me. So, dividing decimal numbers, which is dividing a decimal by a decimal. It's a little bit more tricky, but I know you guys can do it. So you're going to multiply the divisor by as many tens as necessary until we get a whole number. Remember to multiply the dividend by the same number of tens. To multiply by 10, it's easier to just shift the decimal. Which, for example, if we divide 6.4 by 0.4, we're just going to shift the decimal 1 space for both, because if we shift it to the right one, we will get a whole number. So 6.4 to the right one is equal to 64. 0.4 shifted to the right one is 4. So in this case, 6.4 divided by 0.4 is the exact same as 64 divided by 4, as you can see, because we moved the decimal point of both of these numbers. So now we can move on to calculating. 64 divided by 4 is equal to 16. 6.4 divided by 0.4 is equal to 16. Okay, before we move on, I'm going to give you guys some time to process that. A minute or two, asking you questions, any concerns, any comments. about this because I know it's a lot of information to process and handle within dividing decimals and okay. So with this, we are going to be moving on to long division. So when we are going through and using long division, it's not going to be really often or as much because the only time we really use it is when we have harder questions that are used, for example. Or it can be more decimal points, not decimal points, more numbers after the decimal that are being used. For example, 0.539 by 0.11. Move the decimal point to the divisor. 0.11 is a whole number. So we're going to start off with, since in order to make this a whole number, we need to move it 2 spaces. Remember, if we're going to move this one 2 spaces, we need to move the dividend 2 spaces. So it's 1, 2, well, 1.1, then 1. It's 11. 1, 5.39, 1, 53.9. So what about 53.9? It still has a decimal point. It's a little bit confusing. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Well, to make it easier on everyone, we're going to ignore the decimal point in that dividend as long as you remember to put it back later. And that might not make a whole lot of sense right now, but I'm going to go through an example of this multiplying this to show you how it will make sense later on. So, long division, we're going to first do the calculation like we were talking about in the slide before without the decimal point. So we were doing 53.9 divided by 0.11, but we changed it to 11 divided by 539. So when we divide it out, solve it, we get the answer to be 49. So remember, when we made 0.11 a whole number, we moved it 2 spaces to the right. So we're going to move this 2 spaces to the right. We're getting 53.9 again. And we're going to put the decimal point directly above the dividend. So since it's 49, 0, 49, 539, and the decimal points are here, we're just going to go place it right up there. And your answer is now 4.9. Any questions, comments, concerns, confusions? I would really like you guys to speak up and ask because it is a little difficult to grasp and understand this concept, but with time and practice, it will come natural and easy to everyone. Okay, with that, we are going to do another check for understanding. When will long division need to be used? I want you guys to sit and think about it for a minute. And you can think about this as in, will it be used often? Will it be used when we do a certain problem? Think about it. And then I want you guys to talk to your peers about it and see what ideas they have and your classmates. And then you guys can raise your hands and answer to me. And then we can move forward. So before we move on, just want to see if anyone has any questions, concerns, comments about anything that we've been through so far. Because let's go back. We started with dividing decimals and how to divide them. And then we did an example on how to divide a regular number, which is 15 divided by a decimal, 0.2. And then we went through some of our own problems. And then we did dividing decimal numbers, which is a decimal by a decimal, which is a little more difficult, but it's easier to grasp and understand once you know how to divide a decimal by a regular number. Then we went into long division, which can be difficult, but once you understand the concept and learn how to grasp it, you will have no problem. And now I want you guys to try and solve these problems. So I have 7 problems up here, but I want you to only pick 4 of these problems to try and do and solve by yourself. The reason I want you to do them by yourself is because I want you to understand by yourself to make sure you know what's going on, you know how to do the problems before you look for help. Because then, say you really don't understand it and you try to tackle it, then you need help, then you can ask me, you can ask your classmates, but first I want you to sit silently and do this for 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes by yourself. And then, like I said, once we are done, we are going to go back again within a group of 2, maybe 3, depending on how many people we have. And then you guys are going to talk about it. You're going to share your answer, how you got to that conclusion, and then compare it to the others to see if they got the same one, if they got a different one. And then we will come back as a whole class, and I will show you the answer, how to solve it, and then we can compare so that you can fix mistakes you had, and you can get clarification on where you need more help and practice. With that, I wanted to say thank you for listening, being productive, paying attention to the things I had assigned, actually working on the problems, and getting to understand this, because dividing decimals, I remember when I was your guys' age, was not very easy. I had some struggles and some troubles with it, but you guys seem to be doing very well, and like I said, if you guys need help, if you have any problems, any issues, you can always ask me, and sometimes people learn in a different way, so if the slides didn't help you so much, I can start writing them on the board and do problems handwritten, so that we can do step by step and I can help you. Many other ways we can go about this, but thank you for listening and participating. I had a lot of fun teaching and learning this lesson with you, because it seems like I can learn something new as well as you guys can. Thank you very much.